Welcome everyone. Alright, so in this video we're just going to look at how we implement and use the area and perimeter rules in combined shapes and how to just calculate it and how you can expect it to be asked in tests and exams. Alright, so in the first one they ask for the area and perimeter of the colored in bit, and for the second one they just want to know what is the area of that colored in bit of that square. Alright, so let's look at number one. So number one says work out the area. Now, the area is quite easy in the sense that to get a, how can I say, a plan of action. So my plan of action would be to say like, okay, I'm going to work out the area of the rectangle, which would be length times breadth. And then I'm going to subtract the area of the circle, which is pi r squared. But I can't subtract the whole circle, I just want to do half of it. So I'm going to divide it by 2. Half of a circle I want to subtract, minus then the triangle, and the triangle is half the base times the perpendicular height. So that's how we work that out. Now let's see if we can sub in the values. Do we have all the values? So the area is equal to length times breadth, so that would be 10 times 6 minus pi, we know, radius would be half of the diameter, which is 3, divided by 2 minus half the base of this triangle. Now this is the base. So to work this out, we know that this is 10, this is 7, so this must be 3. So the base would be 3, and my perpendicular height would be the breadth, which is 6. And there I've got all my values. I can now actually just sub it all in and calculate the answer. So I've got 10 times 6, subtract, and then I've got a fraction. And that fraction is pi times 3 squared, which is 9, over 2 minus a half. Alright, minus a half times 3 times 6. So there we've got our formula, and we just press enter, and it's 36.86. 36.86 centimeters squared. And that's to calculate the area of that shape. So it's not that difficult. You could have done it separately, so you could do it, work out the area of that separate, work out the area of that separate, work out the area of that separate. The only tricky part was to know that you have to divide by 2, that area, to subtract it, and then boom, Bob's your uncle, you got the area. Alright, so well done on that. Let's quickly work out the perimeter. Pause the video, try it yourself, then check it out. Alright, so to work out the perimeter, the concept remains the same. Alright, so the concept to work out the perimeter is you pick a point and then you start walking all around the shape in order to calculate it. And that's the same thing we're going to do here now. So I'm going to pick this point and I'm going to say, alright, let's start walking. So the perimeter is equal to 10 plus, oh, now it's half the circumference here. How do I work out circumference again? 2 pi r. 2 pi radius. But it's half of the circumference. It's not the whole circumference, so I need to divide this by 2. Oh, and look there, the 2's cancelled. So it's just pi r. Plus, remember we're adding 7, plus then, oh, that hypotenuse of the triangle. So we need to calculate that hypotenuse first. So how do we calculate that hypotenuse? Let's call it h, or for hypotenuse. So the main thing here is, again, the sum of the squares of the two shortest sides equals the square of the hypotenuse. So that would be h squared is equal to 6 squared plus 3 squared. That gives me 45, and that would be h squared. But I want the hypotenuse, not the hypotenuse squared, which gives me 3 root 5, or 6.71. So now I need to add that 6.71 in order to complete my circumference. Now we just write it down again. 10 plus pi radius is 3 plus 7 plus 6.71. Now we call in our calculator and say, right, we've got 10 plus pi times 3 plus 7 plus 6.71, and my circumference is 33.13. centimeters because it's a length that I'm calculating. And that's pretty much the gist of how to work out the circumference of a shape. Alright, so nothing new, but how we also use the different formulas to help us in our end goal and the main goal of working out the perimeter around that shape. Okay, now number 2. Now number 2 is a tricky one. Now in order to calculate this, you need to think of circles, and we need to break this down. They love asking questions like this. It's quite tricky. It's quite tricky, and therefore a good question. If I were to break this up, and I want to just quickly take this rectangle, if I were to take this and then draw a circle around, then this is a quarter of the major or the big circle. So if I work out the area of the big circle and I times it with or divide it by 4, I will actually get the area of this little bit right here. If I then subtract that little bit from this area of the square, I will actually get the area of this little bit here. And I need 2 of them. And that's my plan of action. Okay, so let's quickly get going. I'm just going to create some room here. Alright, in order to get going. Now, if I want to do this, I'm going to say like, right, it is the area of, a circle, and that circle is pi radius squared, and we know the radius is 7, but we want to work out a quarter of it, and so we say pi times 49, which is 7 squared, divided by 4, gives me 38.48. 38.48. And this is centimeters squared. That now is the area of this little bit here. If I now say, right, 49, right, which is the area of this whole square, minus 38.48, I will actually get the area of this little bit here. So if I say 49 minus 38.48, I get an answer of 10.52. Now that is the area of that little bit. Now if I times this by 2, I get the area of both of those, and that is, so my final area answer is 21.04 centimeters squared. I hope this kind of, juggles the brain a little bit. I hope it helps with calculating area and perimeter. Let me know if there's more videos you need on certain topics. Try the worksheets, work through them, check out the memos, and yes, all the best.